Meanwhile, the New York Times has come out with, they have a project. They're rolling it out. There's going to be more in the future, but I guess they've come out with like a big spread in the New York Times Magazine. And it's basically looking at, and I haven't had a chance to read any of it yet, but it sounds fascinating. And to a certain extent, like we mentioned on the, in the discussion about meat, and the role it played in the development of the United States, et cetera, and vice versa. We've had multiple interviews with people about cotton. There was 2 or 3 books, I think, that we covered it. And it's fascinating, the development that cotton, and when you say cotton, you are also saying slavery, because cotton became such a huge commodity because labor costs, a highly labor-intensive process, was free, more or less, for the development. And it had huge implications. Well, apparently there's stories like this about slavery in terms of the way that it impacts all sorts of different things. I would be surprised if you didn't see it shape housing policy, not just housing policy shaping certain things. It shaped the way that we do the Supreme Court. It shaped the way that states organized in terms of voting rights, et cetera, all sorts of different things.
Actuarial stuff.
Jim Crow era. I mean, slavery impacts everything, and it continues to this day, which if you really look at how the implications of events 200 or 300 years ago impact all sorts of other things, it shouldn't be a surprise. But apparently, examining slavery for the right in this country it's like a bloodletting. I mean, you've got conservatives freaking out right now. Like, how come? It's one thing to talk about slavery, but why does race have to come into it? Can you imagine saying that and being a sentient human being? Sentient human being? There was one guy who I saw on Twitter who said something to the effect like, well, slavery is not unique to America.
That is solid.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Here's
right
Newt
there.
Gingrich, New York Times, 1619. 1619, of course, was the arrival of the first slaves in the country. 1619 Project should make its slogan, all the propaganda we want to brainwash you with is a repudiation of the original New York Times motto. Like, why this deep investigation into slavery is so threatening to them? Contrary to its stated goals, says Benjamin Weingarten, he's some, I think, Cato guy maybe, it appears to be the purpose of the 1619 Project to delegitimize America and further divide and demoralize its citizenry. Like, what does that even mean, delegitimize America? Do we get our country stamp revoked?
Like, does it delegitimize it to say it was built on slave labor?
Like, what? Honestly, like, what does that even mean? What does it even mean? I don't even know what that means. All right. But here is Jesse Waters popping off with his version of this from Fox News.
A new expose by the New York Times says that your lawn is not only contributing to pollution and climate change, but it's also racist. The piece saying, quote, these lawns come on the backs of slaves. It's grueling, endless work. By the 1870s, we also see American culture slowly start to embrace lawns for the privileged masses. So I guess when my dad made me mow his lawn, I was his slave.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
It's
That's
sort of
really the
stunning. Like,
point.
that's their news. They'll take
That's what we've
one
been saying.
quote from this massive thing about lawns.
Your lawn is racist? The New York Times is crazy.
I am sure there is a story behind that. I mean, I do remember like those lawn jockey things. Do you guys, are you old enough to remember those?
I've seen those.
Yeah.
They're in books. Those are highly
Well, no, I saw
racialized.
them on lawns when I
They
was
still
a kid.
had those in lawns when you were a
Oh,
kid?
in the 70s?
I'd only
Sure.
seen white
Jesus.
ones. I didn't know they did like Sambo versions.
Oh,
of it.
yes.
Yeah, that's the
Oh my
Oh,
God.
So
yeah.
in
Pulling
Worcester,
up
you would
here.
see, Jesus, that's wild.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess lawns do got some racialism to them.
Oh my God.
Yep. I remember
No
those as a
problem
kid.
there.
Let's ask Jesse Waters what he thinks about this. Jeez.
Oh my God, they can't take jokes anymore.
God, we can't even have lawn jockeys anymore. I mean, it's so telling, though, isn't it, that they would be this nervous about an exploration of slavery?
Well, they don't want, and again, it's not even just like the moral dimensions of it, because they just don't want a historical understanding of anything. I mean, particularly slavery and race, but really anything. I mean, you just look at their go-to, like, look at how the whole war on terrorism in Islam was always covered, right? It's evil. It's a magical comic book story. It's not a history. That's their core.
It's crazy.
Historicize, don't mythologize. That's the leftist project.